we're going to start with the Milwaukee Bucks, who lost at home to Ashley's Knicks on Sunday. They have now lost 4 in a row, 6 of their last 7. Those 4 in a row, by the way, are the Wiz, the Grizz, the Raptors, which are just horrendous losses. And then the Knicks yesterday ran them off their floor. After the first 3, Doc said that it was inexcusable. After the Knicks loss, they evidently held a team meeting and a film session with top veteran rotation players where they were, quote, allowed to speak their mind. That's according to a report from The Athletic. Gang, not good times for Milwaukee.
Let me throw another stat at you too, John, because this one blew my mind. The first 3 losses are the first time in 30 years that a team has lost 3 consecutive games where they have been double-digit favorites in each of those games. So it is the worst 3-game skid before they lost to the Knicks in a generation in the NBA. If I can just add that on to put into context how hard it was for Doc Rivers to lead this group to those 3 and now 4 consecutive losses.
I mean,
incredibly bad.
We spoke about this collectively. We've spoken about it in our individual pods that we've recorded in our, alternating groups. But I just feel like, here's the thing. Adrian Griffin was not a phenom when it came to coaching, right? You wouldn't put him in the category of Greg Popovich, of Phil Jackson, of Steve
He didn't have
Kerr.
a second.
But right, I'm saying you wouldn't put him in that category, but he was getting the job done. He was successful. The team looked good. Of course, defensively, there was room for improvement, but I'm of the belief that could have figured itself out. You could have brought a defensive powerhouse consultant in to kind of help maybe where Adrian Griffin was a little bit weak on the defensive side. Like, there were things that you could have done to remedy the situation, but what's the important part of a season? And that is winning games. They were doing it. So the fact that you make that change so early in the season to go with Doc Rivers, who, listen, I know Doc Rivers presents himself defensive powerhouse, blah, 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 whatever. You know what he is when it comes to his coaching ability. You know who he is when it comes to his character and taking responsibility for losses. I don't understand what Milwaukee thought they were going to accomplish when the resume of this man exist in the world. The leopard doesn't change its spots. I'm so confused by this.
They are 15-17 under Doc Rivers. So 2 games under 500. They're just 1 game up on the Knicks and the Magic. Their defense, to your point, Ashley, has improved slightly under Doc, but still on the perimeter, brutal. They can't guard anybody on the perimeter. It's part of the reason why they brought in Patrick Beverley. It hasn't helped at all. In their last 10 games, while this skid is happening that Bill mentioned, they are 18th in offense and 15th in defense. This is not a good team right now.
Let me ask you guys a question. So they had a bad start under Doc, and then he had a really good run post All-Star game, and now they're having a really bad run again. And I think we're all aligned that we are not Doc Rivers believers. What would Doc Rivers and the Bucks have to do this year to change your mind? Like, for you to say, okay, for me, it's make the finals. I don't think it's happening. Well, John, Ash, what would have to happen for you to say on this podcast, all right, I'm wrong, Doc Rivers' hire was a good idea?
Here's the thing. Doc Rivers, in order for this situation, it's not about the talent, because the talent is there on paper. I think none of us will argue that. For me, my issue is that Doc Rivers is who we think he is. You have to fix the character of this team, and it starts with the head coach. John and I spoke about it on the pod we did together. This is a man who is losing to teams, is coaching a team, is leading a team that is losing to teams that he should beat. The G League Grizzlies, the Wizards. And instead of facing the media and saying, look, this is on me. I'm the leader of this team and I have to figure it out. You're blaming the travel squad. You're blaming the water boy and the ball boy and the guy who puts the towels in them. That is a problem. It's a character issue with this team, not a talent issue. And I don't know if you can fix it, because Doc Rivers is who we think he is and who he has always been.
John, how far would the Bucks have to go for you to think Doc Rivers was the right guy for the job this year?
Conference finals.
Really?
Not so much the right guy for the job, because I'm not entirely sold that he's the right guy for any job. But for me to look at this team and go, there's something salvageable, I would say conference finals. Look, yesterday was huge. Those games that Ashley mentioned, the Wiz, the Grizz, and the Raptors were incredibly bad losses, and he should have taken ownership. Although, again, they held a film session, Ash, so I guess that's something.
Was the ball boy there? Was the water boy invited?
Yesterday I thought was the most disappointing one, though, because you had Dame, you had Giannis, and then you had Middleton until he left with quote unquote mouth trauma in the second quarter because he got hit in the face and he lost a tooth, so he didn't come back. But you had all three of those guys out there, and you're at home and you're playing a conference rival and you're jockeying for position, and you get run off your floor and you give up 122 points to the Knicks, who are, they've lost guys too. So that was, I think, a really, as red flags and alarms go, all of that should be sounding for the Bucks right now, because as I mentioned, they're only one game up on the Knicks and the Magic. You have the Magic beat the Bulls on Sunday. The Knicks beat the Bucks. Brunson went for 43. All of a sudden, that second seed, that third seed, fourth seed, those are all in play right now.
The Bucks are just very, very lucky that they play in the Eastern Conference. I'll just say that. They're very, very lucky that they don't play on the West Coast, because the way that they have been just falling apart in ways that they should not be falling apart down the stretch at this point of the season is just absolutely abysmal. I already have concerns with this team just because of health, and we spoke about this, a bunch of different episodes. If it's not Giannis, it's Middleton. It's Giannis and Middleton not being available. Then you also have an issue with Damian Lillard and Giannis. Dame seems to play better when Giannis doesn't play, vice versa. It's just, there's so many intricate details that are already kind of big question marks on how that's going to translate in the playoffs. But for me, the way that they have been losing games, because I look at it like this. Yes, there's going to be intricate details and logistics and things that are off. But when you have Giannis, when you have Dame, when you have Chris Middleton, when you have the team that this Milwaukee Bucks team has, you should be winning games against the Wizards and the Grizzlies. There's no reason you should be losing it, even on your worst day.
The wheels have really come off here. I want to, because you guys are two of the more noted Doc Rivers skeptics here. What is your Schadenfreude level of this?
Oh, I mean,
how much are you enjoying this?
I love John, this is like to write something and have everybody hate you for it, and then 2 weeks later have a look, and then it's really hard not to go back and just respond to everybody on X Twitter. Hi, my level of pleasure, Ash, is yours too. I actually am torn because I have family from Milwaukee. I'm from that part of the country, and I really I know a lot of people in that front office and in that scouting department, so I actually like the organization because I just like the human beings who make it up. And I don't know Giannis, but I interviewed him when he was young. I like him. Dame's great. I can't stand Doc Rivers. On a personal level, I don't like Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is a guy, so Doc will throw people under the bus in his own organization. Lo and behold, he does it to reporters too. Now, it's been a long time, but I once broke a story that he didn't like, and the guy called me a liar every day for 3 weeks on radio in LA, every day, at every press conference by name. And then when he said, "Oh, okay, well, it was true," never got an apology, wouldn't meet. So I'm not. I love everything about it. Even though I feel bad for Milwaukee. Just when people treat you badly and unfairly, you enjoy watching them fail. It's amazing to me how many people in the last week have reached out to me from around the NBA. I've gotten so much information on stuff not related to Doc because people just want to call me and talk. What about Doc Rivers? People do like him.
I actually, on the other side, I don't have any issues against Doc Rivers. I've never met the man. I don't have any personal stories with him. I'm a huge Dame fan. So what's happening with Milwaukee actually is very sad to me because I want Dame to win and I want him to win really badly. But I just feel like, in a sense, I feel like this is warranted because it's like Doc Rivers is a cat with 9 lives. And he doesn't really deserve these 9 lives because he constantly shows us he's incapable of getting the job done. And I don't like people who are messy. I like transparent individuals. And I don't really like how Doc Rivers does business. I feel like he's messy. I feel like he's underhanded. And I don't respect it. Again, I don't have a personal vendetta against him, but his character that he has showcased in multiple situations with multiple different organizations, I personally don't respect it.
One high-level NBA executive yesterday I talked to, I thought made a really good point. Now, full disclosure, this person also does not like Doc Rivers. And Ash, like you, this person thinks that he's a charlatan who just keeps getting jobs he doesn't deserve and has fooled people. So this person is, that's that person's context. But the point he made, and I thought it was really good because it rung true with me, is when you have two superstars that have just started playing together, whether it's in Phoenix or it's in Milwaukee this year, or it's the Heat back in the day, or it's Brooklyn when Durant and those guys were there, there's massive pressure and there's an expectation that they win even more quickly sometimes than stars. It takes stars to gel together. And that in that situation, he said, you need a head coach who creates calm, who can speed up the process of trust among two guys who maybe like and respect each other but don't know how to play together, who can manage properly in the locker room, and especially with their stars, all of the frustration and dysfunction that can come out of just people expecting to win right away, and it takes a while. And his point was, if you were to create in a laboratory the exact wrong people manager as a head coach to manage that situation, it would be Doc Rivers. And his point was, whatever the X and O's, whatever the talent, whatever they're missing on the perimeter, because of just the tension as a basketball players between Giannis and Lillard to figure it out, and the fact that it is now Doc Rivers whose job is, his task is to fix it, he said they're doomed, at least this year, because Doc will just add fuel to the fire, will not take responsibility, won't have the difficult conversations, won't do what has to happen to make those guys be comfortable. He'll create more discomfort just to make himself look good. Again, this is two guys who don't love Doc Rivers talking, but John, I thought it was an interesting point in that Doc Rivers is the guy that throws people on the bus at a team that needs that to be the opposite, maybe more than most outside of Phoenix, maybe in the NBA right now.